humanity is not splitting in 2025. Hey guys, it's John sitting here in my living room. It is a fabulous day today. We had a day of high temperatures yesterday, and today we have a day of low temperatures, and right now it's actually snowing outside. It looks beautiful outside of my windows. I hope you are doing well today. I was on YouTube this morning, and I noticed this preponderance of videos that are talking about this catastrophic 2025 and the end of the world in 2025 and the humanity splitting in 2025 and all souls resetting in 2025. And the interesting thing about this is a couple things. One, all of these are coming out of modern present moment channels. They're all having it come through this information into them, and every channel in the world is coming through their own ideologies, through their own belief systems. They're filtering information through their own belief systems. And the more they watch other channelers, they are going to filter what the other channelers believe. You know, when the Da Vinci Code came out, within a couple months of the Da Vinci Code coming out, there were all these channels talking about Mary Magdalene in France and the babies and all that stuff. And the book, the Da Vinci Code, was based upon a book called Holy Blood, Holy Grail, which was based upon a well-documented fraud of a guy who was trying to prove his lineage to Jesus. But it wasn't until it met the collective consciousness of all these psychic channelers that it suddenly became the truth, and began to be perpetuated and sold as a truth. It also is interesting because it is a controversial topic. It's something that says, you know, this is something that will get clicks on YouTube. This is something that will scare people to figure out what the heck's going on, looking for this fated, destined, or pre-planned future. When you look at spirituality from a broader lens, and you're using the ancient text, the Buddha, the Krishna, the Jesus, Muhammad, all of them, you find very quickly that there's not fate, there's not destiny. They all talk about your free will, about how you can create your world. Islam talks about Muhammad living the perfect life in order to emulate his perfect life. When you look at what's going on right now, is they are putting this concept of cataclysm into the zeitgeist of the world, into the consciousness of humanity. I think it's a great disservice to humanity itself, because in reality there is nothing ahead of us. We've never been to the future. We're never going to get to the future because we've only ever lived in the present moment. The future is just a place where we set goals, and the present is where we put our thought, words, and deeds into creating those goals, creating those outcomes. And the more people put these fear-based ideologies out that the world is splitting, and then they use things like astrology says this. Well, astrology is a hindsight methodology. They go, well, in the past these things have happened, and and now I can look back and I can look for this pattern and figure out what this pattern is. And then they look at the future and they say, well, that star was there before, so obviously this is going to happen now. Nothing's predictive in the future. Numerology is the same way. We look for patterns within it, and so we find patterns within it. I did a video on this already, so I don't want to dive too deeply into that. But when I see everyone talking about humanity splitting and the destruction of humanity and souls all resetting and all this stuff, it is just the latest New Age dogma that's coming out. And all of it's fear-based. All of it's fear-based. You know, we're not victims of fate or destiny or pre-planned events. We are creators of our future, creators of our fate, of our destiny. The Bhagavad Gita says, thought by thought you forge your destiny. Therefore, to keep your mind on the positive rather than the negative is considered the austerity of the mind. What all these videos are doing is they're putting humanity into a fear state. They're putting humanity into the negative thoughts. and how bad things are going to be. And they're literally perpetuating this ideology. And I put this video out right now to say, look, we create our future. Let's keep our mind on a positive, loving world as opposed to fear-based ideologies that are being spread by people who are fearful. Don't be fearful. The secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear, according to Buddha. The veil between us and God is our fear, according to the Sufis. We can drop the veil and come into this oneness. And what is God? God is love. We come back into that idea. This concept of the splitting of humanity and all that, these are just fear-based ideologies coming out of somebody's fear that is perpetuating on somebody else's fear, that's perpetuating on somebody else's fear, that's perpetuating on somebody else's fear. And it becomes an incestuous fear-based ideology. It's how the rapture began. One guy thought of it. Next thing you know, everyone started using it. Because why? Because fear sells. People are clicking on these fear-based ideologies because they're afraid. Why are they afraid? Because the people are making them afraid so that they'll click. That's what it comes down to. The truth about free will is that all the ancient texts say you have it. Everyone says you're the creator of your experience. And when it comes back to this idea that all of these New Age teachers and all of these channelers and all of these fear-based ideologists are saying that, our future is going to be so terrible. Well, if we're creating it, we don't want to think like them. We don't want to think like the way they want us to think. Because what would happen? What would be the greatest thing that could happen to them? The greatest thing that could happen to those fear-based prophesiers of doom is that something terrible happens, right? And the more we as a collective consciousness start putting our focus on the terrible things happening, guess what? We start creating those things. It's not that we don't have the power of creation in our hands, it's that we're giving our power of creation over to fear-based ideologists who are making money off of it. And to me, I look at it from the perspective of we need to stop giving the fear-based ideologists our attention, because that's what they're doing it for. They're doing it to get the attention, to get more ad revenue, to get more things sold, to get the latest meditation bundle that we need to use to turn our humanity and save us from this apocalyptic shift that's happening. These things are all great money makers. Great money makers. The danger in believing in predestined events is that you literally give up your own power. It literally is starting to put you into that place of realizing that you are going to go down a bad road because you're putting your focus on the bad road. When Mother Teresa said she wouldn't go to the anti-war rally, she said, I'll go to a peace rally, a pro-peace rally. Put your mind on the positive rather than the negative. And all of these videos that are out there are putting your mind in a fear-based negative. And that fear-based negative is creating this horrific future if you allow it to happen.
And now, a quick word from our sponsor. Coffee Time with John. This channel runs off coffee, so get your coffee and tea at johnsjoe.com.
There is nothing fated, destined, or pre-planned. There are levels of consciousness. Spirituality is about empowerment. It's not about disempowering or surrendering to fear and fear-based predictions. It's about coming to that divinity within yourself, knowing you are the creator of your experience. And when these people are giving you these ideas that the world is just getting ready to collapse, they're giving you fear-based ideologies that are literally a choice. And you get to choose. Are you choosing this fear and anxiety and stress? Or are you choosing to create a loving, joyful world? You're the only one who can do it for you. Your life is your life. Spirituality is a personal journey. And together, as a collective creation, we have created this together. We've created the world together. And the more of us that these channels push this splitting humanity and fear-based apocalyptic ideas, the more they push that, the more we as a collective create that, because there's more of us believing their story. We have the power in the now to make a beautiful, loving world. We have the power in the now to step forward and say, no, I'm not living into fear. I am living into creating a joyful, loving life around me. And when I see these channels just promoting that fear-based garbage every day, it makes me want to come on here and say something stronger. I don't want to come on here and throw hate at them, because I don't believe in hate. But I do not like when people are literally creating a world that is fear-based. And that's all these channels are doing right now, is they're promoting a world that's fear-based. Why? Because they get better clicks. They get more hits on their products. They sell more meditation bundles to save humanity. They push these things out just to scare you and make you feel disempowered. They tell you, that you're trapped in a matrix where, or you're in a soul prison, or that there's these etheric cords that are holding you to things, and you've got to let them go. And they're giving you all these ideologies that are things to overcome, just so they can sell you something to overcome it. If you look on YouTube now, there are more fear-based spiritual channels than love-based spiritual channels. There are more fear-based spiritual channels than love-based spiritual channels. I'm going to say that again, right? Why is that? Because it's a business. And I've had several of them tell me that I'm doing it wrong because I'm not promoting fear. I will never promote fear. I'll go live on the streets before I would promote fear, because I don't think it's in any way, shape, or form conducive to the world I want my son to live in. Is all this fear-based stuff the world you want your children to live in? Is all this fear-based stuff the world you want your grandchildren to live in? Is all this fear-based stuff actually making your day better? No, it's getting you scared, freaked out, and worried. And I talk to people in private sessions all day long who, when I tell them that these things are not true, they exhale. Why do they exhale? Because they're holding all that fear in, and it's affecting their body. They're getting arthritis and fibromyalgia and all these symptoms of a body trying to hold on to that air. And if you just release the fear and relax, you can change so much in your life, because the Gospel of Mary Magdalene says that fear causes all ailment. Think about that for a second. They're promoting fear. You're just going to get sicker because you're holding on to it. How do you stay aligned with love-based creation as opposed to fear-based creation? First of all, when you see the channels that are pushing fear-based creation, don't watch it. Don't give them the clicks. Don't reward them like giving the dog a treat. Find a love-based channel. Find something that says something positive in the world, creates a more beautiful outcome in the world. Exhale. As soon as you see it, exhale. Don't let it even get into your core, because if it gets into here, it gets out to here. If you let fear get into here, it becomes the illusion around you, and that's what you see. That's basic spirituality from all of the ancient ones, right? What you think you become, you create your world. Thought by thought you forge your destiny. As a man thinketh, so is he. There's nothing good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. These are all a universal truth from our past, and you can see it play out around you right now. Negative people see a negative world because they believe the world is negative, and the world shows them a negative world. Fearful people will have the same experience. They'll see the fearful things starting to surround their life, and they'll look for ways to make it come into reality. They'll start to defend themselves or start to prepare themselves for the horrific thing. But the preparing for the horrific thing itself is putting focus on the horrific thing, which creates the horrific thing. Be the love. Gandhi said, you must be the change you want to see in the world. Do you want to be the fear-based ideologies of a prophetic future that is not fated, destined, or pre-planned, but is a direct relationship to what we think and believe? And if you want to be succumbed into these channeler stories of a doomed 2025, it's only going to make 2025 worse. It's only going to make 2025 worse, because that's the belief that's being created. I believe wholeheartedly the world is going to be in a beautiful place this year. I believe it. I think all of the things that seem kind of out of hand right now are the growing pains of a more beautiful future. Remember when a cargo ship is at sea and they turn the wheel, it takes miles before the front of the bow comes around. And why is that? Because it's got to move all of that mass with that little rudder. And it takes a while for that bow to come fully around. Right? Is the bow coming around for a more loving world right now? Go talk to your high schoolers, your kids who are just going into college. My son's 21 years old, doesn't see race, doesn't see gender, has nothing against has not a homophobic in any way, shape, or form. He's just a loving, caring, beautiful man. And all of his classmates are the same. The crap that's going on in the world right now is not from the kids who are our future. It's from the old people who are having a hard time dealing with change, dealing with things turning differently. This idea of, turning everything back to the 1950s is not coming from the youth. It's coming from the older people, the people who are trying to go back to a time where it was not equal, that it was not caring, that it was not loving. In fact, we turned blinders to certain segments of society. But the kids coming up aren't that way. They're not thinking that way. The world is going to be beautiful. And humanity is not going to split in 2025. The bow is coming around to a more beautiful world. And I know that to be true because I can see it. I see my kid every day talking, and I did school things. I worked in the schools. When he was in middle school, I was the one in there doing all the fights for their Shakespeare plays and helping direct plays. That in itself showed me that these kids are just totally on a different wavelength, because we started to turn the bow. We started teaching them differently. The world is becoming a more beautiful and loving place. But don't get waylaid by people who are spreading fear just for the profits. Don't get waylaid by people who have created business models to make them a spiritual guru. Talk only to people who are being loving. Work with the people who see a better world. Find a way to actually create a life around you that is beautiful. Make your part of the world so beautiful that the world changes around you in beautiful ways. But the more fearful you are, the more you will attract fear into your life. And that is a detriment to not only you, but everybody around you. If you want your family to have a loving life and a loving world, then give them a loving life and a loving world. Don't focus on the fear-based negatives that are going to make their world terrible. The other thing that's interesting is the more negative you are and the more fear-based you are, the more friends you'll lose because people don't like to be around those kind of people. People kind of walk away. I have a lot of people on my YouTube channel who comment and say they don't no longer watch other channels because of the fear-based stuff. I'm lucky that they still stay with me, but I'm not a million subscriber channel yet. I might be, and when I'll be really thrilled and happy when all of these people looking for a love-based world start to find the message of love that I'm trying to give. And I'm not trying, I'm giving it. I'm just putting it out there. And I've had a couple of the YouTubers who are promoting fear come on and try to knock me down recently. And they're trying to knock me down using fear-based stuff. And I just kind of smile and I say, that's yours, not mine. I'm living in a joyful, loving world. I'm creating a loving world around me. I'm not succumbing to fear-based tactics. And I definitely am not going to take the fear that you're offering me because I'm the one creating my experience. And that's my thought on all this, guys. You guys can take this moment and be loving, put love into the world. Don't let the fear-based ideologies get into your consciousness at all. Let it go on by. Perfect love drives out fear. That's the book of John. Best darn book in the Bible. Perfect love drives out fear. Be the perfect love so that fear can't even get into your core, into your vibration, into your resonance, whatever you want to call it. I don't allow it into my consciousness because it's just not helpful to you, to me, to anybody, and especially not my son. And as I've often said, I will work for a world that is loving and caring because my son's the one who's going to inherit it. So make sure that you're leaving something behind for your kids that they can live in joyfully, happily, and not fearfully. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.